Madden 26 just announced their first big update of the year, and it's coming on Thursday, August 28th. And there are some great things they're fixing, but there's also a lot that they aren't fixing in this update that has me a little bit worried. But let's jump into what they're fixing, and I'll touch on some of the big misses throughout the video. I think it's important to note here that EA says that this update is primarily focusing on stability updates with various zone coverage improvements. They say they have a lot more coming down the pipeline, but this is pretty similar to what we saw with College Football 26, where shortly after launch, we got a nice little small update that had some good fixes, some quality of life things, and then sort of a little bit after, and they had a massive update that dropped a little before Madden launches, and that was where really the meat and the potatoes were. One of the first gameplay updates they talk about is that they've increased the catch knockout chance on mid-air collision in situations where there are additional defenders. We've all played this game where we have seen double or triple defenders around a certain player and they catch the ball, and we are screaming just trying to figure out how that actually happened. But there is something weird here. They say that, but from a dev note perspective, this fix addressed receivers coming down with too many aggressive catches with multiple defenders around. I think we're all thumbsing that one up. But they mentioned this fix is for simulation game style only. I think that's a little bit weird. To me, I'm surprised this is not impacting the competitive side of things as well. To only be in simulation, look, I'm happy for that, but if you're playing online head-to-head or MUT or anything of that nature, you're playing on the competitive game style. So you're telling us that this is still going to be happening on the competitive side. That seems a little worrisome. We're also getting a little bit of coverage changes here, and to me, it feels like a lot of the coverage changes that EA is showcasing in this blog, they're extremely similar, if not the same, to what we saw in College Football 26. I think it's a little interesting that these weren't included at launch for Madden 26, considering how many changes from College Football were in Madden at launch this year, but I guess, hey, at least they're coming. One of the first ones we see is that Cover 2 Tampa, the middle defender now gets deeper, maintaining better leverage position against deep threats, especially versus 3x1 formations. With Cover 2 hard flats, they addressed an issue with hard flats where defenders were dropping too deep and too far inside before reacting to flat routes. Defenders now drop more accurately with their zone responsibilities, improving coverage consistency in the shallow flats. If you have called Cover 2 hard flats in this game, you have absolutely seen your guys that are supposed to be playing those hard flats creep down the field 10, 15, sometimes even 20 yards deep depending on the routes, and then an underneath halfback or a drag comes across and they're wide open. You can hopefully stop screaming at your TV now. Cover 3 matches needed a lot of love in my opinion, and they're saying that they have logic improvements for defenders when reacting to slot wide receivers attempting to out-leverage the defense on deep routes. This is going to include Buzz Mabel and Zone Blitz 3 play calls. Cover 6 and Cover 4 palms are getting some much needed love as well. They fixed an issue where outside quarter corners in Cover 6 and Cover 4 palms were oftentimes losing the press, giving up easy touchdowns. They adjusted the corners alignment so they'll no longer attempt to press the wide receiver, which I think is great because sometimes you're calling this, you're looking, and you're like, wait, why do I have one or both of my corners pressed up when this is not a press situation? This is a much needed fix. From a more general standpoint, zone coverage defenders now drop back quicker when shading coverage over the top, which is fantastic news. They fix a post-play animation defect where a defender would do read steps when standing in place after the whistle. And they address a visual issue around the previous play graphic obscuring the offensive play call information. Kind of a small bug. It's been more an annoyance than anything else, but again, I'm glad they're cleaning that up. Now, something they aren't mentioning so far in this blog, which is really scary to me, is the fact that favorite plays is completely and utterly broken in this game. You cannot use the favorite plays menu call, and if you accidentally tab over to it trying to go to recent plays, it's going to lock up your game for anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds at times, which might even give you a delay of game penalty. Now, I specifically did reach out to ask if this is going to be included in this update. They are aware of it. It's not going to be included in this update, but it is a massive issue where basically your plays are compounding. You might just have 15 plays in your favorite plays menu. The game will sometimes, for me personally, I have over 20,000 plays listed in my play call menu that it's just been duplicating over and over every game. So if I go to that, I'm getting a delay of penalty because the game just locks up at that point. So I'm hoping and praying this is in the next update. But speaking of playbooks, Kurt Benkert got a really cool addition in the game, which personally I love to see. I think Kurt has done a lot to grow the game in Madden and college football, and I'm a big fan of what he's doing because he's doing it, in my opinion, the right way. He's making sure people learn football concepts and play in a simulation style, so props to EA and Kurt for making this happen, and I hope we see more of this in the future. But if you're looking for what he has in the game, there's a customized playbook that'll be in the game called Benkert's Dimes, and you can find it in Play Now when selecting your playbooks. I think this is a great addition. Presentation got a little bit of love here. They added 3 international stadiums to Play Now, Franchise, and Superstar mode. So you have, and I'm probably butchering this, Olympia Stadium in Berlin, Germany, you have Santiago Bernabeu Stadium in Madrid, Spain, and you have Dublin Stadium in Ireland. There's also a mention of fixing crash and stability issues. I'm not sure if this is also going to be touching on the weekly recap or the halftime presentation where that menu sort of slows down a little bit there, but Overall, the more that Madden can do to fix crashing and stability issues, the better. And as we're gearing up for the NFL season, just know that while the NFL season is almost here IRL, you don't have to wait. You can actually place your season-long picks on Underdog today. That includes picks on new rookie class players like Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders, Jackson Dart, and so many more. In my opinion, Underdog is the place to play if you're a fan looking to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances to show that you really got some ball knowledge. Just call your shot by picking higher or lower on 2 or more players' stats for a shot to win real money. And the best part is it's available in over 30 states, including Missouri, Georgia, and Texas. And here are some of the picks that I've made with this upcoming season in mind. And I want to know in the comments, what do you think I'm right on? What do you think I'm wrong on? And they've got a brand new offer for customers that use my code GGB when they sign up. Just play $5 and get a $50 in bonus funds when you sign up with code GGB. You can use it on the screen or link in the description below. So all you got to do is download the app today and turn every touchdown into a W with Underdog. We jump into franchise mode next, which we all know definitely needs some love. And one of the first things they're addressing here is that they've addressed their UI transitions around the player card, reducing the transition time it takes to go into the player card, which this is good news in my opinion, because it should not take 5 or 6 seconds to just view a player card. The fact that that's a separate menu, this whole loading screen, that is crazy to me. But there is a little bit of a negative, I think, still here. They mentioned the current fix only addresses going into the player card. Their resolution for exiting out of the player card back to the franchise menu will be in the next title update. So we don't know if it's going to be instantaneous for going into the player card or if maybe it's a 1 or 2 second, load-in time instead. But going out of that menu back to the franchise main menu is still going to be painfully long. So it's crazy to me this has to go another title update to be fixed, but it is what it is. Additionally, they resolved an issue allowing commissioners to send multiple league invites simultaneously. They addressed an issue that prevented edge players from adding pass rushing traits, which, thank God. They addressed an issue during the draft where the draft board was improperly transparent, showing literally the background. That was one of the craziest things. You would try to view it and you just had no idea what was happening. It was completely transparent. There's text over text and it just became impossible to actually see. That is unfortunately all they have for franchise in this update, but they do at least mention they have some issues that they're aware of and working on a fix for a future title update. They mentioned class import process incorrectly modifying player body types, specifically offensive linemen. This has actually been an issue in Madden 24 and Madden 25. The fact that it's coming back is frustrating, but at least they're aware and looking to fix this one. Players on IR unable to be peeled off the IR list. This is kind of a pretty annoying one. Injuries are definitely happening in Madden 26, which I think we're all happy to see. But the fact that you really are having a hard time, if sometimes not even being able to get a guy off the IR, that's kind of game breaking in a lot of ways. And then nose tackle archetypes displaying a different overall in the front end. Again, more of a visual bug than anything, not a huge deal that's really game breaking. Moving over to superstar mode, the fumble rate chance has now been decreased in snow games. If you have played a snow game in franchise or superstar mode, it is insane. I have personally had my guy fumble 6, 7, 8 times in a game, even with the trust ability activated, even with a high carrying rating, even with just trying to do my best to cover the ball. If you're playing a snow game, it was chaotic. The fact that they now are making that a much better experience where you shouldn't be fumbling nearly as much, I'm okay with 1 or 2 fumbles in one of those games, but anything really past that, if I'm being smart with the football, come on now. They fixed an issue where players would play in the wrong position. If I remember correctly, a lot of times this has been for middle linebackers, sometimes being at the outside linebacker perspective, but if you have a spot where maybe you've been put at a different position, let me know in the comments down below. They fixed a rare issue where players' knees would be invisible during the NFL Combine. I've seen this one kind of rear its ugly head. Not a huge issue, but again, a small thing they're fixing. And then they mentioned several stability fixes as well. I wish we got a little bit more information on what some of these stability fixes would actually be. I don't personally love that this is all that we're getting for Superstar mode, but again, I'm holding out hope that they have a much bigger update that'll have some impactful things coming. In Ultimate Team, Play a Friend will now respect each individual user's passer settings. They remedied an issue where opening a fantasy pack after a head-to-head game causing visual artifacts during the pack open. They fixed an issue where rewards images failed to appear on some screens. They also fixed multiple occasions where players were navigated to the wrong menu. They fixed a text issue where ranked down appeared instead of ranked up. Obviously frustrating there if you're the person because you're confused at that point. They fixed an issue where progress in ranked was not visually displaying. Another issue was fixed for multiple occasions of overlapping text. They fixed an occasional crash when returning to the lobbies, and items displayed during presentation honestly did not always match their actual rarity, so again, they're cleaning up a lot of the confusion that we're seeing here. And from an audio perspective, they also fixed an issue where commentary referred to a few rookies by an incorrect last name. I think that's great, but to me, one of the biggest audio issues in the game is that sometimes the crowd audio will completely silent. You will not hear any crowd audio. You'll still have your commentary. You'll still have the sound effects. All those things will still be there. But crowd audio just disappears. This happens in franchise, in play now, in superstar mode. I've seen it in pretty much every single mode in the game. And the fact that we're not getting that adjusted, or there's no mention of that, definitely scares me, and I am worried about when this will be fixed. And I mentioned in Superstar mode, they fixed an issue where players would sometimes play in the wrong position, but it's weird this also was not mentioned in Franchise mode, because Franchise mode has an issue where you might see wide receivers at corner, D linemen and O lineman spots. I've even seen offensive linemen at wide receiver spots sometimes, and I think a lot of those bugs have to do with formation subs and just some weird wonky stuff there, because we saw similar problems in college football. I'm just kind of flabbergasted how some of these issues aren't being even talked about, that they have a fix coming. There's a lot of other issues that I hope they can fix. The training drills, for example, where the wide receiver red zone drill, the quarterback will either lob it or throw it out of the stadium sometimes, even when you're holding a bullet pass. Dynamic lighting has had a couple of issues here and there. Travis Hunter's ability to track his offensive and defensive stats, there's no mention of that. There's a lot about this game that scares me, because overall there is a very good Madden game here. There are just so many small issues adding up that, in my opinion, it's taking away from what could be a great Madden game. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about this update, and what are some major things you hope the game actually fixes or changes or brings to the game before the end of the cycle. And if you're enjoying these videos, I'm on the road to 300,000 subs, trying to get there before the end of the year, so please sub. It always helps your boy out. Be safe, be smart, tell somebody you love them. Catch you guys on the next one.